Good morning, good morning, good morning, good morning, and welcome to another edition of the Brothers of Legacy. I am your host, Mr. A.D. Walker, the pusher, the grower, the motivator. Appreciate you guys rocking with us today. Let's do this. Spliggity splow. Good morning, Lisa. Thank you for always hanging out and sharing. Today, let's do this. Bam. And yeah. Thank you guys for being here. Thank you for being a part of these conversations. Like to have conversations that kind of make you think, kind of help move our community forward. And this is one that my wife had brought up last week. Um, so I was like, maybe tackle this. We'll dig into it today. We'll see where it goes. Of course, starting with statistics and some of the things I've seen myself. What up, Richard? Good morning, sir. Good morning. Thank you for being here, my brother. So this is your opportunity to share. Make sure you share. Sharing is caring. And let everybody know that the Brothers of Legacy are in the building. So do us a favor and share the broadcast. I appreciate you guys being here. Also, make sure you check us out tonight. Purpose for Forever. My wife and I, we're going to be discussing something. so we always deciding kind of like between some different conversations. So to be a part and know when we're going live, join our text community. Look, I segued that back in. Join our text community. Text LWN to 84576. Text LWN to 84576, and never miss a broadcast of the brothers, the sisters, as well as Purposed for Forever. So make sure you join our text community. Text LWN to 84576. It is officially getting cold in Georgia. Now, if anyone lives here or ever lived here, understand cold doesn't hang out too long. We have our ups and downs. It's going to be cold. It's going to be hot. It's going to be cold. It's going to be hot. January gets cold. We have a good week of consistent chill. And then guess what? It gets warm again. So gotta love Georgia. But again, I'll pray that everyone's having a wonderful weekend. Finish celebrating my daughter's birthday. She is the big 1-2. So I'm excited about that. Getting older, guys, getting older. So again, I appreciate you guys rocking and hanging with us. I appreciate my podcast people for listening and being a part of the Brothers of Legacy podcast. All that and then some. So, like I said, today we're having the uncomfortable conversation of domestic violence. If you don't know, and you can't see the uncomfortable conversation of domestic violence, we're going to be talking about that. So be sure to share, tag, inbox everybody as we have this conversation, and I share some of the things, some of the facts, as well as some of things I've seen. So we're gonna dig into that. This is going to be a different conversation. So appreciate you. Said New Orleans, Mardi Gras, yes, indeed. So we appreciate you guys for being here. Like I said, make sure you share. Sharing is caring. Sharing is caring, and we look forward to having this conversation today. All right. So without further ado, we're gonna dig into this. It may just be me today, which is all good. So we're gonna have a conversation. It won't be as long because I know you don't want to hear my voice too long, but please share, connect. Okay, I just spoke them up. So please share, connect, so that you're a part of this conversation and you know what's going on, what's going down. And so we're gonna dig into this, and let's see. We'll be right back after this. This, as always, new. There you go. All right. Good morning. Good morning. Good morning. And welcome to another edition of the Brothers of Legacy. Oh, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Happy
sir.
Monday.
Happy Monday. Happy Monday to you. All right.
Good morning, BOL family.
Yes, indeed. Keita
Good
in the
morning,
building. Good
Keita. Morning,
morning.
Lisa. Morning, Richard.
Whew. So, you guys, make sure you share. Sharing is caring. Sharing is caring. As we've discussed this conversation from different perspectives and share what we know, what we've seen, and maybe what we've encountered as well. So let's see. I don't think I've ever had this conversation. Like for the most part, I've revisited a lot of different conversations. We remix it, we come back, do it a little different. But I think this is maybe a first time tackling this one. Um, so we're talking about the uncomfortable conversation of domestic violence. So I, I'm just like I'm almost starting to theme the uncomfortable conversation, uncomfortable Monday conversations. um, I mean, it's not something I've seen discussed a whole lot. I've seen talked about, and like most, I got a few statistics here. But of course, statistics mean nothing. It's more or less about the personal experience. He said, not really a Monday person. I get on with it the rest of the week. I'm okay. Good morning, Cheryl. Good morning, Sparks God Lady.
You start
Um,
preaching, Richard. You better stop. You're going to get me to shouting.
Oh man, who shook the jaw? Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. Minister Fletcher brought the word on Sunday. Indeed. Um, but yeah, so like I said, today we're talking about domestic violence. I'm a bust out some statistics real quick.
I need to talk to
Um,
our producer.
he said, he said when he talked to producer.
Yeah, domestic violence on a Monday morning.
A bad way to start the week. Need to be a little more motivational. I'm going at the opposite.
I mean,
We're
it's
not
all
good
good.
morning America, so we're
But
going to
I guess it's never a comfortable time to talk about
talk about. Right.
DV. Mhm.
Oh man. All right. So these are some statistics I've gotten from the NCADV, the National Coalition Against Domestic Violence. And we're going to kind of read off some of these. And I'm going to ask a few questions to you, Pastor, because in my mind, usually I have some angles to tackle, but this one was kind of a challenge. So, like, I don't know exactly how to. So we're just gonna flow, and if anybody wants to jump in, please do so and ask any questions or spark a conversation or what do you think about So feel free to do so. Not the random, Richard, on domestic violence. Not the random. Appreciate you and love you. All right. So, oh, one of the statistics say 20 people per minute are physically abused by an intimate partner. 1 in 4 women and 1 in 9 men are uh, physically abused and sexually violated. Um, 1 in 7 men and 1 in 4 women have experienced physical violence, beatings, burnings, stranglings. Now, I know taking it on a high note. Um, so the one thing I'll say from what I've seen in my small perspective space and my area, the parts I've been a part of, I want to make that clear, not a broad span. Um, it seems that I always wonder why people sometimes stay in those situations, and I've seen a few where it's not like like you see on the movies where the person that's doing the violating is wealthy, has this lavish lifestyle, like they're giving up something great, in their life. It seems like it just another body, it's never, I don't know, like I've not seen the level of deathly threat that I've perceived or seen. Um, so I've always wondered, why some people stay in those kind of situations. I know some people have grown up in it, so they're, I guess, used to it maybe. Um, but I've always wondered about why people stay in those situations. And that's kind of like my first thought. So, if Pastor, if you had anything that you can elaborate on that, like why would someone, male or female, um, kind of endure like a physical violence, or a volatile household? Because sometimes it's not even always physical. Some people are just what they call it emotionally abusive. They're just yelling, and you just a house that's always on edge. And it's not right. You know, so I always wonder, why people stay in those situations. And just a quick caveat, not downing anybody, because there's all kinds of reasons that we deal with stuff. There's all kinds of reasons we stay in situations. I just, if anybody has facts, figures, or even just knows people personally that they had conversation with, kind of share what kind of keeps that kind of stronghold, keeps people in certain situations. Let's see.
You asked the question several times, 3 different ways or a couple of different ways. I was wait, no,
Okay.
no,
Okay.
I'm saying that because I'm waiting to see if anybody responds. I know Richard has put some comments out there. I'm just wondering um, what some of our listeners would
Yeah.
say. Why would someone stay in a situation like that?
Right.
Just giving people an opportunity to
Hey,
speak.
Mama Corey.
Yeah, because a lot of it, it has a lot to
Okay.
do. It has more to do with the victim,
Right.
in my from my perspective, than it does with the violator.
Right. Right.
Right, the violator is who they are. So a
Yeah.
lot of the questions are around. Your question is, why do we stay?
Yeah.
Um,
Oh, let's see.
and there are a
Looks like,
lot of reasons why someone would remain
yeah.
in an abusive
Right.
situation.
Right.
Right.
Peter says it starts with them beating you down to where they get into the person's mindset before it becomes physical. So the self-esteem is extremely low. It's
Right.
interesting.
See, the
Okay.
victim.
Right. 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 Um, Richard says, he says men need to become as good as women at reporting the domestic violence. More vocal. I think that men may not come forward because of fear of what people would say, or what people think or say. That's interesting. That's interesting. Um,
Men need to become as good as women at reporting the. Oh yeah.
yeah.
Well, again, I think the reasons people stay are the same, whether it's
Right.
men or women.
Right.
You
Right.
know, Keita talked about self-esteem. When someone begins to tear away or break you down,
Right.
you know,
It,
um,
it's it's crazy. Like I think about, like, as a man, like if I was in a situation, like telling you passive, like, yeah, just she got upset, it's how she did, I did this, she did that. like I shouldn't have done that. She wouldn't have done this, or the excuse thing. Because I especially as a it's I mean, nowadays it's becoming more of a conversation for men, like, yo, you're not supposed to put up with it either. You're not to get smacked or abused and things of that nature.
but see, now you're speaking from the perspective of an outsider looking in.
Right, right,
It's
right.
easy to tell somebody you shouldn't be there. Why do you stay?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
You
No, no,
know,
no doubt about
that
that.
kind
No
of
doubt
stuff.
about
But
that.
remember I said this, I don't know, a year ago or something. I've said it over and over that you have to be careful of the people who can impact the mirrors in your life,
Right. Right.
right? Because that's
Right.
that tearing away.
Yeah.
When I begin to
Definitely.
shatter what you see when you look in the mirror,
Right.
or I
Yeah.
take you away from the people who will tell you what you look like.
Yeah.
When
Definitely.
someone shatters the mirrors in your life, now you're left vulnerable to how they see you. And
Right.
everything you see about yourself comes from them. They begin to define you. You
Right.
become their definition of self as opposed to
Right.
your own. And that's how they
Definitely.
begin to tear away. And that's the psychological abuse. That's the chipping away at your
Right.
identity,
Right.
right?
Definitely.
And so now you become identified in that person,
Yeah.
right?
Right. Right.
And that's where it can be dangerous. It can be troubling for you. So why do you stay? A lot of times you stay because you can't see clearly.
Right.
A lot of times you stay because you have fears.
Right.
Are the threats real?
Right.
You leave me, this is going to happen. You
Right.
can't make it. You can't get this far without me. You can't.
Right.
You'll never make it on your own. All those types of things. The fear of whether or not any of that stuff is true, because
Right.
you've lost your identity. You know,
Right.
sometimes you're ashamed of having stayed so long. Maybe somebody told you should have left a long time ago, and you told them you love this person or whatever the
Right.
case might be, and you don't want to deal with the shame of somebody saying "I
Right.
told you so."
Told you so.
You know,
Wow. Yeah. Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
that happens. There's
Right.
so many. I mean, man, the uh, the getting comfortable in discomfort.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
normalizing the behavior.
Behavior. Right.
It's just who she is. It's just who he is. You don't
Good.
understand them.
Good days. Bad days. They just
Yeah,
having a bad day.
yeah. It's
Right.
it's a, it's a lot of that.
Right.
Absolutely. So there's so many variables, that
Right.
possessive nature of somebody.
Right.
When they feel like they have the power over you, you relinquish your power to somebody.
Right.
You know,
Yeah.
uh,
That's true. That's true.
yeah,
Um, let's see. Gita said it's also sometimes the state of being the person is in when you meet that person. You said, I love family basis, financial and time. You're right.
yeah,
You're right.
yeah,
Um, if they have a bad day, yeah, go for a walk, calm down. Yeah, indeed. So yeah, it's I get what you're saying, Kita. Like I guess if you met somebody in a certain space, I guess it's either you understand why and you hope, I guess, hoping that it's better. Um, but like I said in the beginning, yeah, like I can only speak from what I've seen, and I just have the conversation of why people stay. And trust me, like like Brad said, of course it's easier from the outside say, why are you dealing with that? But there's so much more that goes into it. Because if someone's good day is good and they're sorrowful, they can, they smooth it over, and though it happened before, you can feel like, okay, it's gonna be different this time, or something's gonna change, or like you said, that's just you get into the space of just that's just who they are.
yeah,
Um, and sometimes I think even circles of people that deal with domestic violence issues, if we're a group of those that have spouses that are the same, then it's just like this is just normalized. This is just kind of the culture almost. So I know, just how do we, I uh, in my perspective, it seems like because I know back in the day, way back, well, not even that far back, maybe like the 70s, it was almost normal, it seemed like, like to be like abusive in a certain sense, towards your wife, you gotta man up on them, I don't know about putting hands on, at least in the 70s, but I think there was a time where being a little more aggressive was normal in a sense, like how I think how the men and women dealt with that. Of course, nowadays we're becoming more sensitive to it, how we treat our spouses and the words we speak, being more cognizant of what abuse looks like, because when you don't know what abuse looks like, then it's like this is just what I've always seen, this is I'm following a pattern. Of what I grew up in. This is how my dad talked to my mom, and she cried, but she stayed. So those patterns I think emulate as well. But coming into this space, and I kind of just wanted to kind of put it out there, have this conversation, just because I've never really talked about it. Like I've witnessed it in certain spots, never in my own household. They like if I ever tell you, they just their dysfunction was silence, and I picked that one up. Just a lot of silence in the household. I think I heard my dad raise his voice one time, telling my mom, "I'm not leaving this house." I don't know what the argument was about. I don't know what the issue was. I just remember him yelling at, and it's like I remember it like it happened yesterday. I'm not leaving this house. Maybe in infidelity, maybe thought of it or something. But yeah, I just remember, I remember that situation. But never like never during my time of growing up in a household was there that level of abuse that happened. Like I said, other than like the Jehovah's Witness issue, which of course could have been handled better. Like he would always fuss and cuss going to see those people, and for whatever reason there was just a lot of tension with that. But I kind of just, what have you guys? What were your experiences? Have have you seen it? Have you experienced it? I know that's a lot to share. Um, but what, yeah, I know that's a big share. It's a big share. Have you seen it? Having seen it, yeah, I'm gonna go, yeah, I've seen it. You know, and what's your thought on the people that were involved? Have they left? Or do you know why they didn't leave? So feel free to share what you want to share. Of course, that's why this is such a uncomfortable conversation, because it's not like a lot of other things like racism. Yeah, I experience a lot of that. Like you can talk about, but who wants to admit that they've been through that? It's so blatantly. I know some people are
Well,
wearing it
I
as,
think it's not a matter of who wants to admit that they've been through that. I mean,
yeah,
it's a very intimate thing.
yeah, definitely,
Nobody wants to say that they've been through that on Facebook.
right,
You
yes,
know,
indeed, yes, indeed,
on Brothers of Legacy.
right, 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 right,
A
right, right,
program that is owned and operated and controlled and dominated by male
man,
conversation.
right,
you
right.
know,
Hey, listen,
that's all I'm saying. But I
right,
think we all, to a certain extent, have seen it,
right,
even if it hasn't been us. But we have all, at some point, been directly or indirectly connected to abusive situations,
right,
right? We've seen it, we've experienced it. It may not have been you, but it may have been someone that you know. It could have been someone that you love, and the tough questions are put out there. You know, I grew up in a single parent household, so
right,
we didn't have a man living in there. And even when my mom was dating, I mean, I recall maybe one time in my childhood, one maybe two occasions in my childhood where a man came on a little too strong.
okay,
Uh, but we heard it.
right,
My mother's door was closed. We heard somebody raise their voice, and we played little league baseball.
right,
She had four
right,
sons who played little league baseball. We had Louisville Sluggers.
right, right,
You know,
right,
we
right,
tapped on the doors like, "It's time for you to leave,"
right,
and that was that. You
right,
know, uh, I remember another occasion where my mother was dating a guy, and someone
um,
who felt like she belonged to him was intimidating her interest. I say her strong like interest.
yeah,
We should have went to jail
wow,
because me and my friends caught him sitting
wow,
outside our house one night.
wow,
I didn't tell my mother this story for like 25 years.
wow,
Like, do you
wow.
remember? She's like, yeah. You ever know why he never showed back up again?
Wow,
Yeah,
wow,
yeah. Because
oh,
yeah, yeah. It was we
yeah.
we should have went to jail. And
Thank
but
God.
even in my own experience, like you get as a single parent, as a young person trying to find your way, and
Right,
you know, you're too young for the situation that you're in.
right,
I had to learn how to value my woman.
right,
I had to learn. You don't you don't holler at the person that you love.
right,
You don't
right,
act out aggressively at someone that you're trying to spend the rest of your life with.
right,
You
right,
know, you don't do that. I remember. Um, I remember getting so angry one day that I think we had been together, probably 2 years,
Right.
and we were getting ready to move, and I was so frustrated.
Oh.
And we had all the stuff packed up, and we lived in this place. We had wood, everything was wood, like this Italian style home, and we everything was wood in LA. And I punched this swinging wood door.
Oh.
I was so angry. I was so stressed out. And I
Right.
punched the door, and I punched the door so hard that the wood separated, you know.
Right.
And I'll never forget this, man. I chipped a bone in my hand,
Oh.
and we were trying to move,
Right.
and I
Wow.
couldn't
Hey, Cheryl. Good morning.
I couldn't pick anything up
Wow.
because and
Right.
the thought was like, you messed up your ability to be productive
Right.
by getting angry
Ooh.
and punching a door.
Right.
And that's when it's
Right.
like, you stupid. Like,
Right. Right. What do we
why
do?
would you be that mad?
Right.
You
Now
know,
you made it worse. Right.
yeah. And
Right.
then and I look, see the look on my wife's face,
Right.
and it's like, what
Right.
what is that? Where,
Right.
where that old phrase, where they do that at?
Right. Right.
You know,
Right. Right.
yeah.
Right. Right.
And but you
Right.
have, I'm like, I had to learn. It's like these lessons you had to learn. Like, that's not what we
Yeah.
do.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's not how we deal with this.
Right.
And so you
Right.
have to check yourself. You have to make sure Keita said, you got to make sure your mind is right. Make sure you don't get so wrapped up in a situation that it becomes, oh yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, the anger of fools, absolutely. That it becomes shackles to your
Right.
progression
Right.
in life,
Right.
because it's shameful.
Yeah.
It's so shameful. And then you have to look around and see the impact
Right.
of those who are looking at you,
Right.
and that's the shame. That's the real shame, you
Yeah.
know.
Definitely.
So that's I would wish that people would learn very, very early in life that communication. I saw something this morning. A lot of it has to do with proper and effective communication. It's easy to argue,
Hmm.
right? But
Yeah.
an argument is because you've confused communication with comprehension,
Mm. True.
right? A
Yeah.
lot of times we trying to speak our mind, but we're not comprehending what we're hearing. And so we
Right.
get angry and we lash out. So
Right.
I'm just saying that it's better to learn very, very early
Right.
in life that violence is never,
Never.
you know,
Right.
and some people think, well, I didn't hit that person, I hit
Right.
the wall. Well, you
Right.
imagine that person.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's the stuff that people don't think about.
Right.
You know,
Right.
it it always gets worse
Yeah.
if you don't deal with it.
Definitely.
Right?
Definitely.
That's the reality.
It's
Yes,
a,
it starts and
so
ends with effective absolutely,
communication.
Cheryl.
Yeah. So it's definitely it's that outlet. Like how you release, the anger or the frustration. Because you're right, it always can escalate. Because if I get used to punching things or used to lashing out in the moment, don't get me wrong. Like if you're the type that gets frustrated, that knows I need to go release and then I can walk somewhere, go to a gym, like constructively keep it in and handle it in a space. That's one thing. But in the moment, I need to do something, is the part that you have to have the discipline. You have to be able to go through it in your head. Like I listen, I can speak probably for every man that you have a moment and you imagine and then you go through your mind, is that really worth it? Oh, I just want to knock the TV over. Is that
See, that's
really
the
worth it?
thing. That's the thing. Like what's amazing is, what's the difference between you and someone that's in prison?
Mm, right,
Because you thought about it,
right,
right? They
right,
just acted on it,
right,
right?
right, right.
So what's
Yeah,
what's the difference? Where's the break? The
I
break is when you can justify it in your mind,
right.
right?
Yeah, yep,
And so the reality is, you can never justify uh, violence in your
right,
relationship.
right. It's
Yes,
just, yeah.
see,
Oh
that's
yeah,
what I'm saying. See,
definitely.
that's kind of where I was going, Cheryl. Like, what's the difference between you and somebody in prison? The difference is your limit versus their limit.
Yeah, yeah, definitely.
But the fact that you thought about it, you know,
It's who got
the Bible
caught.
says,
Right.
"So a man thinketh,
Right.
so is
So is
he."
he. Right.
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 And so we have to think about these. That's why I said, that self evaluate. You have to really check where your mind is.
Right.
Evaluate
Right.
these things in your mind and get your priorities in order, because our thoughts become our
Right.
words become our actions.
Yes.
You know,
Definitely.
and it's just a matter of time if you don't deal with it. And that's the
Yeah.
thing. And sometimes it's not a physical attack. Sometimes it's an emotional, mental, psychological thing.
Right.
And oftentimes, I've been in a situation where I'm like, I'd rather you slap me than say what you said. you know because
That
the
got you
words
even
go
more. Right.
in, words hang out. That sting
Yeah.
from a slap, that sting goes away, but words tend to hang around.
Right.
You know?
Playing your head over and over again.
Yeah,
Over and
yeah, yeah.
right.
I can put ice on a swollen eye. I'm not trying to belittle or take
No,
away from
not at
anything. I'm
all.
just saying
Not at
that
all.
we
I mean,
have to
I
think about all of that
yeah,
stuff.
and that
You
goes
know,
into it as well. I know you always hear domestic violence, but yeah, that abuse, those words, they matter. Like they
yeah,
cut. And yeah, like you said, I think the words hurt longer. And they cut into your esteem. They cut into, especially if it's with your spouse. Like I said, there's like those levels of relationships you have, but they're like your spouse is the closest thing to you. I tell people, I said, no one could. I'm a cool dude. Anybody can say whatever. I said, my wife is the only one in 30 seconds that can get me from cool to angry. Like just from a few words. Cause because I've allowed her to be the closest to me. So anything she can say, it'll throw me all off. Like I'm good. But then her words can just throw off my whole day.
because
Um,
she knows. She
right.
knows.
Yeah.
Yeah,
She knows. Oh, let's see. Richard said I used to get mad fast, but not so much today. I'm working on it. I think I need to be in the purifying furnace. That's good.
yeah.
Yeah, definitely.
Cheryl said the
Oh,
difference is who got caught. That's true too. I don't feel like there's much of a difference between the rate of domestic violence today as compared to what it was 75 years ago,
really? Okay.
because you don't know how many people are living it and don't say anything about it.
Right.
You know,
I
we know about what's been exposed. We don't, for
right.
every exposure, there's 10 people that won't say a word.
Right.
There are people, people, everybody listening knows someone that is in a trying or troubling situation, but
Right.
they just haven't said anything.
Right.
You are connected to somebody,
Right.
because for every person that says something out loud, there are another 5 people who won't say a word,
Right.
because they're so dependent on whatever it is, dependent on that individual, dependent on their uh, fear of shame, whatever it is, they haven't said a word.
Right.
you know so I think violence is violence. We haven't stopped killing people, we haven't stopped fighting each other,
Right.
so why would there be a decrease in
Yeah.
domestic violence? Because
Mm,
there's not a decrease in any other violence. You know what I mean?
interesting. Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
I do. All right. Um, so I'm putting up a number, just in case. I gotta make sure I'm doing the totally responsible thing. Domestic violence hotline. So I'm putting up the hotline. It's 1-800-799-SAFE or 7233. Um, and they can point you in the right direction. Because I don't know, someone may be watching this now, may see this later, um, and figure today is the day I need to do something. All right, so uh, make sure you call. Because
Yeah, I mean, the
it's
reality is there's hope.
yeah. There you
There's
go.
hope. You can get out of the
Definitely.
situation.
Yeah.
That's the reality. You may not know how, but it
Sitting down.
begins with saying something.
Definitely
Yeah, it
sitting
is a
together.
process. It's
Yes, indeed.
absolutely it's a process for everyone involved.
Right.
You know, uh, but most importantly, the person who is the victim.
Right.
You know,
Right. And I think,
um,
and like I start off giving the statistics, male or female, so if you're a man dealing in a situation, feel free to reach out, you know,
yes,
because like it domestic violence or abuse shouldn't happen on either side, and as the brothers of the leg said, definitely want to push, for my men to not sit in it, because sometimes you're like, you may feel like you deserve it and you don't, I did something, so I deserve this abuse, I cheated 5 years ago, so I deserve this abuse. No, you don't. We have the conversation, the healing, the therapy, there's all of that, but the abuse doesn't come with it. And speaking to my men that maybe the perpetrators, there's help for you as well. Just have to, you get the therapy, get the help. You know what happens when you get upset. It doesn't take much. So there's the therapy and the help that you should reach out to. I'm sure that hotline can help you as well, send you to the right place and get you in a space to be in a healthy relationship. So like I said, this is a different conversation for me. I've talked about a whole bunch of other stuff, but I've never really tapped on this. But it's, you know, I agree, Pastor. You're right. There are a lot of cases that aren't talked about. There are a lot of cases that are not reported. I guess I'm always an optimist. My prayer and hope is because of a lot of the culture changing. Like I think the spousal abuse thing has not been something in a normal fashion. Remember, like Ralph Cramden, bang, zoom, send you to the moon, kind of. It was jokes, but it was an unfortunate. Like now, like did he just talk about hitting his wife? Like you know, it's not things that we just slide by any longer. And so, this, I wanted to, kind of tap into this and have the conversation because I'm not sliding over it. I mean, I'm blessed to be around a lot of couples that aren't in this situation or that I know of. I'll say that. So it's definitely something I just wanted to bring up and discuss and have passed on and have this conversation, and hopefully it's a help for you or someone that you may know. Like you're like, oh man, I didn't think about a number, and you can share this. So even share the broadcast. Oh, he was arrested and charged. Did I miss a story? Let's see. Okay. I haven't grown up. Cheryl said I haven't grown up with it or experienced it, but I've seen it happen with friends and the after effects it has on someone.
yeah,
Horrible, indeed.
yeah,
And said he was arrested and charged. That's good. That's
yeah.
good.
The message. People need to understand that um, experiencing abuse from someone and caring about genuinely caring about that person
Right.
that you're experiencing those feelings are not mutually exclusive.
Right.
People who experience abuse or people who have survived or surviving abuse, you can still you still care for that person, and I
Right.
think the common mistake is believing that the person that you originally met will somehow come back.
Mm,
If I
yeah.
just
Hang in there.
if I just or what if I just
Right. Right.
I'll
Right.
do this and then we'll get back to
Right.
where we were,
Yeah.
uh, and that's the danger of it, because that's essentially um, authorizing continued behavior,
Right.
bad behavior.
Right.
That's what I'm saying.
Definitely.
And for men, it doesn't make you less than a man
Right.
because you've experienced domestic violence. You've been on the receiving end of domestic violence.
Right.
Violation is violation. It doesn't matter where it's coming from. Uh, it's often an unspoken issue. I've experienced it, and it wasn't until I recognized protecting them. Yes,
Was dangerous to
right.
me.
Making
Wow.
excuses for the abuser is,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
When you're in a weakening state, rather physically, mentally, or emotionally, it is easily said, Yeah, it's more easily said than done, especially when you know the strength of the giver and
and
taker
take
of
over the view.
the abuse. Absolutely,
Right.
absolutely.
Yeah, definitely.
We have all these different reasons that we come up with for wanting to stay. Uh, I know them that they're better than this. They just went through
Right.
something. We make excuses for them, or even what am I going to do without them? I
Right.
depend on them for this. I
Right.
depend on them for that.
Right. Right.
We have children, and I don't want to break up the home.
Right.
If left unattended,
Yeah.
it's always going to get worse.
Yeah.
You don't. It's very rare that someone just has an epiphany,
Right. Right. It's
or
rare. Yeah.
revelation.
Yeah. Definitely.
You go through
Definitely.
periods. They have
Yeah.
periods of regret,
Right.
and it looks like everything is back on track until the next explosion.
Right.
And each time it just gets progressively worse.
Yeah.
That's
Definitely.
that's
It's
just
just
the way
a
that it is. So it has to be
yeah.
dealt with. But
Yeah.
but there's hope. Again, there's always a way out. It's not easy. Lord knows. I'm not trying to say it's easy.
Right.
It has to be
Right.
a decision
Yeah.
that
Definitely.
I cannot live like this. I refuse to live like this.
Right.
This is not the way that I was designed to live, because
Yeah.
you're not designed to live that way.
Right.
You know.
You're not. You're not.
Mm-mm.
It just it's like you said, it's all about making a decision. You just have to make the decision and make the difficult choice, and make the move. And like I said, like yeah, we're not making it like it's an easy thing. Like I said, especially if you got kids, or it and honestly it doesn't even matter because it could just be you and him in a box. It just it's challenging just to disconnect from somebody, especially that you loved and cared for, and depending on the years and how long you've been together, it can definitely be a challenging situation. Keita said, I especially had to change my mindset in the matter for I had to think of my kids as well as myself. Definitely. Uh, Cheryl says the individual must make the decision just like any other addict. Wow.
Yes.
Right. Got to make
Yes.
that decision. Got to make the
Yeah, and
decision. I
that's
appreciate
that.
you
She
guys
said
sharing as
addict.
well.
Man, I tell you, I found out that you can be addicted to drama.
Wow.
There's certain people who are not comfortable
Right.
unless something uncomfortable is going
Very
on.
dark time in my life. Wow.
Right?
Yeah. Right. Right. That addicted. Yeah. I don't know what to do if there's no drama happening. Like it's too
Right.
calm. It's too peaceful. I'm
Yeah.
not used to it. And like I spoke in the beginning, just if you grew up in it, it's like I don't know what to do with this nothingness. I don't know how to just be happy or cool.
Yeah. Spirit of
Um,
familiarity. Yeah.
reality, right? Definitely, definitely. So I appreciate you guys rocking and hanging with us, and being a part of this conversation. Like I said, it was challenging. I've never really gone here, so I thank you guys for being here and speaking, and those thank you for sharing, and sharing more. To add to the conversation. I appreciate you. So we'll see how much the space I'm gonna take it tomorrow. So we'll just stay tuned. Just stay tuned. Appreciate it, Mama Corey. Stay tuned. Oh, let's see. Join our text community. Text LW into 84576. Text LW into 84576. Never miss a broadcast. Um, and make sure you check out Purposeful Forever tonight with my wife and I. Uh, all right, I know. I got to give him the moment. I got to give him the moment. So what about them
How
Cowboys?
about them Cowboys?
Mama Corey, we was trying to get out of here, Mama Corey.
How about them? Look, I need my. Where is my?
It took it down. Took it down. So listen, make sure you tag somebody, share this conversation. As Cowboys Avenue. Cheryl said Ravens, baby.
Yeah, Lamar Jackson clowned yesterday. He did. He did. But the Cowboy New England Patriots game was a more entertaining game. Lamar
Nice.
Jackson was a more entertaining baller, but our game was more entertaining. They almost
Nice.
broke my heart, but
Oh, nice. All right,
I don't know
guys.
why
So
they feel like they have to do everything hard.
I appreciate you guys rocking and hanging with us. Like I said, continue to share, tag somebody to be in this conversation, inbox somebody that you may have had this conversation with. And like I said, if you Let's see, he did, and I was at that game. Nice, nice,
Wow.
nice.
Wow. I'm
Um,
jealous. He is.
and
He is. I'm saying Lamar Jackson is that dude.
nice.
He is that dude.
Let's see. All right. And if you have any content or questions you'd like to send, go to Brothers of Legacy at Gmail, Brothers of Legacy at Gmail. If you, especially like this conversation, if there's something that you like, why don't you guys talk about this or some depth that I didn't cover today, that you would like me to talk about, or some question that you had that you can send that you don't want me to share publicly, um, definitely send it to that email. And we appreciate you guys. We look forward to seeing you guys same time, same channel. As always, continue to stay safe. Keep wearing the mask. Keep wearing the mask. I know I don't like it. Nobody likes it, but it is what it is. I was in Savannah this weekend, and yeah, it's the anti-mask area. That's all I'm gonna say. Like, not I won't say not near, but almost not near anybody had a mask.
Yeah, and like, and on the tombstone, it will read, "I died a free person."
Right, right, right. All right. Well, we're not gonna dig into that right now. We're gonna go. I'm going. I'm going. All right. So we see you guys tomorrow. Take care. Be safe. See you in the AM. As always, we love you. Know that God loves you more. Stay safe. Thank you guys for rocking, hanging, being. Make sure to share. Sharing is caring. All of my replay peoples that watch in the background that I know see this show, I appreciate you as well.